evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? How are you doing? This down here in DC, in this area, it is raining and pouring. But we're still gonna
Yes.
go through this great interview. This evening I will be sitting down with Javay. Did I pronounce that
Yes.
right?
Javay. Yes.
Javay.
Javay.
Javay,
Yes.
yes. Javay Engelking-Scott.
Yep. You
Yes,
got
I'm,
it.
let me
You got
let me
it.
tell you something. I'll be messing up names. I'll be butchering names. I'm the type of I'll be butchering names quick as I don't know what. But
That's
y'all,
okay.
let me tell you. I just want to before we start, I just want to give a little brief because I always give a little brief about the person I'm interviewing. Some people I know, some people I don't know. This young lady reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I would like to come on your platform." I was like, "Awesome! I would like to have you on." Here she is. When I tell you she has amazing stories, when I tell you people don't look like what they've been through, when I tell you God is always good and always in the blessing business, you're about to hear a phenomenal story. And I just pray that this helps a young woman or a young man out here that may have gone through or going through what she went through. But before we get started, I'm going to open us up in a word of prayer. Lord, I just want to say I thank you. I thank you for this day. I thank you for yesterday, but especially for this day, just to see it again, Lord. I thank you for this young lady, this powerful young lady that's sitting on my platform. I thank you that she trusted my platform and myself with her story. So, Lord, I just pray that we learn, we grow, and we embrace from what she has to give and offer to us this evening, Lord. Just thank you for YBC, Lord. Thank you for just giving me the vision and me being bold enough to carry it out. And as I go into 2023, Lord, I just pray that you continue to send awesome people that I can sit and talk to and get their story out. So Lord, I just want to say I thank you and I praise you and just let the words flow out of her mouth as well as my mouth and let the listeners just be open with the open ear and just take something from this interview. So in Lord, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Thank you for joining
All
me this
right.
evening. I know you could have been anywhere else besides being
Yes.
here. You got a son that's 4 years old, so I know you stay busy. But
Yeah.
hey, you might end up seeing the sun. Come on, y'all,
Yeah.
but that's okay because I'm gonna tell you this is live, so that's okay.
Excuse us.
Oh no, no excuses. We can see his beautiful face. But thanks again. But when we get started, the first thing I always ask, who is Javay Ingle King Scott?
Okay, so Javay or myself, I am a young woman who came from, a long past, and right now I am someone who heal people, who help heal people. I'm actually in nursing school now to actually do that, but on the side, I like to heal people mentally, spiritually, and in the physical form also, just bringing the light to dark places. That's who I am. That's who I like to think that I
Okay, so in saying that, name three adjectives that would describe yourself.
am. I would say funny, um, funny, caring, and I don't know how to put this, but lightful, like just joyful. There you go, joyful.
Okay, okay. So y'all, she has a powerful bio. When I read your bio, I had to take a day and just meditate on it because I wanted to make sure that the questions was um, not being too nosy, but just making sure that you share your experience um, in the positive way. I mean, as much as it can be positive right now. Back then,
Yeah.
I know what.
Yeah.
So in saying that, you have a saying on your bio: "Make peace with my broken pieces." What does that
Yes.
mean?
So I came up with the saying, make peace with my broken pieces. I was at a conference, a women's conference, an empowerment conference. And I was just sitting there and, thinking about my story. And, they were saying that you don't have to look like or, act like where you've come from. So a thought just popped in my head and I was like, you know what I'm doing right now is making peace with my broken pieces, which means that I cannot change the past, right? I cannot change the past. So what I'm doing right now, I'm like, what happened to me actually happened for me and for my greater good. So I can heal, so I can be the person that I'm supposed to be in the long run. So, digging up my past and digging up my peace and saying, hey, you know what? It's okay, Javay. It's okay that happened to you. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do now? And the only thing to do is to make peace, with my broken pieces, which is what happened to me in the past.
Okay, so can you just let's go in the past. Can you walk us through a little? Because
Yeah.
I know the viewers like, what's she talking about? We ain't hear what she went through in the past. So what's she talking about, Lou? What's she talking about?
Yes. So a little bit about my past. So I'm 28 years old. I was born in 1994, and I was born in DC. My mom was addicted to drugs for like about 20 years or so. And at the time when she had me, she was battling her drug addiction. So I was raised by my older sister, and I grew up over there by Sursum Quarters. And one summer, my sister, who thought my mom, got clean, she let me spend the summer with my mom. And that's when we found out that we had a younger brother who was at the time 2 years old. So we, over the course of the summer, we ended up staying in an abandoned building. There was other, drug users there. My mother wasn't there half of the time. So I was left to fend for myself when I was 7 and my 2-year-old younger brother. One day, the police came and raided the house, and we were put into foster care for 2 years. Right. So that whole situation is what I call my past. Right. That's something that I had to make peace with. That's a broken piece. That's one example of a broken piece. And then we were adopted by two men who took the utmost care of us still to this day, at my big grown age, taking care of me when I needed, and of course for my son. Um, Marvelous life, went off to college, but I always had a yearning of, reuniting with my mother and my sister because that was a piece of me that, was broken. So I came to DC when I came home from college because, my dad's, their strict rules. I didn't want to hear none of that. I'm 19 years old now and I'm grown. So I moved to DC, and started staying with my sister. I met a man. We were together for 5 years. I lived with him and his mom, who I call my second mom. She was very powerful, very impactful. The relationship was a lot of infidelity. Now here goes another broken piece, right? Um, so then I met my child's father. And this right here was like the most powerful part of my story. Um, I met my child's father. We were together for about 6 months. I got pregnant. And all through the relationship, there was financial abuse, where I would go to work. He would take my check and say, hey, look, I need this for so and so. I need some, this and that, and all kinds of drugs and stuff like that. So then it became like a mind abuse, manipulation, um, calling me names. And then I found out that I was pregnant. So at first, it was the happiest thing, for him and of course for me. So then when I was 3 months, he put a gun to my head when I was folding clothes. And he said, you need to get out of here. I'm going to kill you. Get out of here. Right. So at that very moment, I'm like, wow, what do I do? So my instincts came in. I pretended like I was going up the steps and I ran out the back door. When I ran out the back door, he came through the basement door. And I just kept running and I never looked back. I kept running, kept running. I called my ex, and asked him to come get me. and he came and he got me, and that's when I went into a transitional home.
Wow.
So it was, so that played a really big part in that, in my broken piece. I'm kind of summing up things because, you know, a couple things on the way, but kind of just trying to sum it up. So I had a lot of broken pieces at that moment, and
Yeah.
that was my turning point because I was living for more than me at that moment. You know, and when I always, because I had a traumatic past as a child, I said whenever I have a child, I will try to avoid all trauma at any cost.
Yeah.
So I got away from his father, and I stayed away from his father till this day. And that moment, that's when I started, you know, going back into therapy and making peace with all my broken pieces.
Wow. Wow. So let's get back to the younger you.
Hmm.
How did you survive? How did you survive um your upbringing? I mean, because reading it, I just took myself back to being 7.
Yes.
And I'm like, would I have been able
Yeah.
to take care of a 2-year old? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're 7, and I even have a grandbaby that's 5, 2 years from 7, and
Mhm.
I'm like saying, would she know to take care of a 2-year
Yeah.
old? So I
Mm.
just, so how did you survive? How did you survive?
So going back, and this is a great question because I haven't went, you know, this back in some years. So going back, it was always, my mom had a sister who she called her road dog, my aunt. Um, and my aunt had 2 kids. One, she had 2 daughters. One of the daughters was a year younger than me, and the other daughter was my brother's age, was 2. So it was two about 7 year olds and two year olds. Every morning, you know, we would get up. They didn't live with us, but we would meet up almost every day. So every day we would, you know, get up. I would get up. My mom would tell us, "Hey, go wash up." So I would wash up, and we would go outside. We would go to the playground. So during that time, you know, we were the mothers of our siblings, and it was just, I don't know how, you know, and I think that's why, I know that's why my mind is so mature now. But I just knew that I had to protect my brother and my younger cousin. You know, I just knew that I like I said, I don't know how, but I just knew that we needed to stay on this playground until our moms came back and until we went back into the house. And I remember one particular day when my mom wasn't in the house, um, my brother was trying to go out the door of the room. And I told him, listen, you cannot go out this door. You know, I had to kind of like barricade the door for him not to open the door.
Wow.
And you know, by the grace of God, nothing, I've never been, you know, sexually assaulted, you know, or anything like that while I was young or anything. So I'm
Yeah.
just blessed, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So how have your past hindered your present?
Mm. The I think the major thing is my abandonment issues play a lot of part in the relationships that I choose. And I'm not just talking about, you know, love relationships, it's friendships too, you know, because the people that I will want to surround me never meaning me no good,
Yeah.
right? And my dad used to always tell me, like, why do you choose these kind of people to hang around? Or why do you want this kind of relationship, right? And it's because the people that were no good for me saw something in me that benefited them, right? So they stayed around. And my motto was, as long as you stayed around, that's all that mattered,
Yeah.
right? At least I had somebody there for me. And I would do anything, and you know, I would do almost anything to keep you around because I didn't want you walking out that door like so many people, my mom and you know, my mom especially did, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. So you talked about having a gun. Let's get back. Okay, so now you a gun put to your head.
Yes.
At that moment, you said that's when your transformation started. Can you elaborate a little bit more about at that moment and then your transformation?
Um, so it's like a symbolic transformation, and then it's like a physical and real life transformation, right? So the symbolic transformation was at that moment I could have been, gone. At that moment it could have ended it all, right? But it didn't. So in order for me to see some change and to see something different, I had to do something different, right? So that's one transformation symbolically. And then the next transformation, it wasn't in that moment, like, because in that moment, all I was thinking about is getting out of here and trying to escape, right? So it was when I actually got into my transitional home and really sat down and got into back into therapy, where I was asking myself, how did I get into that situation?
Mm.
Why did I ignore the red flags? It was something in me of why I ignored the red flags and why I needed that man there so much that I ignored the red flags, right? And that's when I started to transform, because I tried to transform my mind because I never wanted to be in that predicament again, where I needed someone so bad that my life is at risk.
Mm.
So I had to start digging up, and that's where once again we're going back to making peace with my broken
Yeah.
pieces.
Wow, that was good. I like that. I like that. I like that. So, what have been some of your biggest achievements, and what did you learn from them?
Some of my biggest achievements. Wow. My number one, my number one is raising my child. You know, raising my child to where as though almost everybody, is like, wow, he's so smart. Wow, he's so bright. Wow, he's so polite. Everyone, and I just look at him every day. I'm like, wow, I did that. you
Yeah.
know that's something that raising my son is something that I'm so proud of, because when I was 3 months pregnant, when that happened to me, I made a decision, like, you know what, I'm keeping this child. This is my child. And yeah, so that's my number one. um my number two is starting nursing school, right? Because I always knew that I wanted to work in the medical field. When I was younger, I wanted to be a pediatrician because I love kids so much. Then, as I grew older and started to learn the difference between a doctor and a nurse, I always wanted to be a nurse. So now I'm about to graduate from nursing school in the end of December. So that right there, like it just brings tears to my eyes, because yeah, like that's something. It's like, dang, I did that, through the mist, through the storm, through raising my son. I did it, and I'm claiming it because I did it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, do you believe your So, what do you believe to be your purpose or your assignment for your life?
I know I was born on this earth to help people heal themselves, and I say that um, because I've had multiple people. I used to be a home health aide, and I had this one client. I call him my father's son. I had this one client who would say, "You know what, Javay, I need you around. Every time that you're around, I'm better. But when you go away for a long time, I get worse." right? And I sat there and I'm like, well, it's not like I'm, giving you a special potion. I don't understand why you need me around. But then one day during my meditation, I'm like, why? It's because of my light. It's because of my energy that I have. I heal people,
Mm.
right? And just me sitting there and talking to him or not talking at all, he's up walking and doing things that he wasn't doing when I wasn't here.
Wow.
So I know that's one of my, one of my gifts on this earth, my purpose.
Okay. So sitting here today, do you believe God was with you through your life journey, even the darkness?
Yes, for sure. I know God was with me. I know God was with me. And kind of to expand on that, I always believed in a higher power, right? Even growing up when I was adopted, my dad didn't go to church or, didn't pray or anything like that. But I just knew that there was a higher power. I knew that there was somebody, right? So I joined a church myself. The first church that I joined was a Baptist church, right? It was 13 years old.
Mm.
The next church that I joined was a Methodist church, and this was at 15 years old. And I went every Sunday, and I would volunteer. I would work in the nursery every Sunday, and I would attend the service, right? So, and then even I went back to Baptist. This is now when I came back to DC. I went to a Baptist church and was going every Sunday. When but I just something was missing for me, right? Something was missing. I just couldn't really connect to um Jesus, right? Because I'm like, I don't know what it is, right? So when I went, when I had that transformation that I was speaking of, I started, looking to different religions, right? Because once again, I always know that there's a higher power. And I found a spirituality named Ifa, right? It's the African spirituality. And that's so long story shorter, that's what I believe in. There is a God, and that's my God.
Okay. 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 All right. All right. I gotta elaborate on that 'cause I'm interested to hear more. Eve. Okay. Okay. So, what would your older self say to the little girl who endured your past?
Times like what's that song? Ooh, child, things are going to get easier. Like that's what I would say. Like things going to get easier, and it's okay. Like you know, I was I was talking to my best friend, and I was telling her when I first got adopted, I was the parent, right? I came from being a parent to my younger brother. So when I first got adopted, I really didn't know how to enjoy stuff for myself. When they would make dinner for us, I didn't know, like I would save a little piece to see if he's still hungry. I really didn't know, like I'm like, okay, I understand that we in a good home, but I was skeptical to let my guard down, right? And so I would just tell my younger self, like, it's okay. You can let your guard down. You can, absorb all the love that they're giving you.
Yeah. Well, kudos to your to adopted parents that raised you.
Yeah.
Because it's always a myth, or it's always talk that two men can't raise children.
Yes.
And from you sitting in front of me,
Mhm.
you're a prime example
Yes.
that that's not true.
That's not at all.
So how was being raised by two men? How what I know it's a difference in a mom and a dad, but is it a difference or is not a difference?
in certain ways, right? We we know as a female we go through our first period and stuff like that, and learning how to shave and stuff like that. So when it came to that sense, yes, it was a little different. Like, it was different going to the store with my dad for pads. Like,
Yeah.
what you know about this? You don't know nothing.
Right,
Like,
right.
so it was different in that sense, but in a sense of, that the love that we had, one
Yeah.
of them was more lenient and kind of like the pushover, and the other one was the more stricter one, where it's like, you better think twice before you say that. So it was this, like, it was the same. It was the same as having a mom and a dad. Even, when I first got adopted, when we first got adopted with my classmates, right? At first, I would lie because one was black and one was white. So
Okay.
I would lie at first, where I would say, "Oh no, the black one, that's my dad, and the white one, that's just his friend." Right? This is when I was in fourth grade. So when I got into middle school, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just tell the truth. Yes, they're both my dads, and I love them the same. You take it
Yeah.
or leave it. So, and nobody, I never was bullied for it. I never was made fun of for it. It was just a mind thing at first for me. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't
Yeah.
tell them that.
Well, great, great. That's good. So, what information do you want people to receive after watching this interview, or doing it, or watching it now?
So, a little part that I did not touch on, is me being an herbalist, right? Which came through me, figuring out my purpose on this earth, and, my spirituality and stuff like that. So I currently do have a herbal business. On Instagram, it's Oshun_boutique, where I do, different types of healing services. I do, like, I make like herbal capsules. For I do a consultation first to see, what are your ailments. Then I try to find some herbs that will, fit those ailments, body scrubs and stuff like that. So that's that piece that I really didn't touch on. But the bigger picture, what I want anybody to take away from, especially younger girls and men, that may have been through a similar situation, especially the foster care system and stuff like that. You do not have to act like, or even end up where you came from,
Mm.
right? Your story can be somebody else's testimony when you get out of this rut that you're in. And that right there keeps me going. That keeps me going, because I too one day want to have my own mentoring business and nonprofit, and to help the young people, especially in DC, um know that there's a better way, because I've seen both sides of it. I've seen the luxury side when I got adopted, and I've seen the rough side, before that. So there's a way. You just have to have your own mind and know that bad times don't last forever.
Yes, I like it. I like it. I like it. So, who is your mentor, or who keeps you covered?
I you know what? Right now, currently, I really don't have one officially, right? Um I so of course, my higher power, my God, that's always who I go to on a daily basis, as far as, prayer and things like that. But I just have to give it to my best friend, because I feel like we are each other's rocks, right? And it's not a thing where it's the enabling, because we have those friends that enable us, like the yes man, but she really, like, makes sure that I'm on my stuff, far as schoolwork, or relationships, people that I shouldn't be hanging around, and just really being there
Yeah.
and being that listening ear.
So I have a daughter that's 28 as well,
Oh,
and I will call with you guys with the millennials. You'll be the millennial.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I know with your age group, you guys are still trying to find.
Yeah.
With I
Yes.
mean, it seems like you're
Yeah.
still trying to discover who you are, where you fit in at on this place. What are you here for, and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So how hard is it being 28 and kind of um have gone through the stuff you have gone through at an earlier age, which what makes you, like you said, your mindset a little different than maybe most 28-year-olds. Uh,
Hmm.
do you find it lonely? Do you find it, is it hard? I mean, do you find being misunderstood, trying to be out here dating, but
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely it gets lonely. It definitely gets lonely, right? For two reasons. The first reason is because my mindset is more mature, right? And it's like I can't, okay, you want to go out here and party every weekend and leave your kids here, there, and the third. Like I can't relate to that, right? The second reason is because of what I went through, right? And when I say what I went through, the people that I used to surround myself with, and they were no good for me. They were using me, you know, for whatever, finances, energy. I one thing about me, I cannot be around people that drain my energy.
Mhm.
And people that always, they're selfish, calling you when they need something or when they want to talk, and it's always something bad with them. So those two reasons are why, like, it can be lonely for me. All right. So, and then it's just like, uh I don't know, like, I feel like, I don't know. I have mixed views. It's like I'm confused right now, but I have mixed views on it because, like, some days I'm okay with being, lonely because I know that I'm not alone,
Mhm.
right? Um, Meaning that I have people that's in my corner, my support system, my dad's, my mom, me and my biological mom have a wonderful relationship. And I know that there's people that I can call, so I'm okay with being lonely. But then a part of me too is like, dang, like, I wish I had like a group of girls where we could go on a girls trip. Like, I wish that I can just, but I just can't put myself in another situation where I'm being used.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's always good to have a tribe.
yeah,
It's always good
yeah.
to have a tribe because we're not meant to do this life alone. So,
Mhm.
what is next for you? What is next? What is next?
So next is, of course, graduating. That's where all my focus goes to, is school right now.
Yeah,
I even put my business on a hold because I need to focus on school and getting this degree.
yeah.
Right. So graduating, restarting my business, my herbal business, putting my focus in that. Um Getting this experience, and then within a year of me graduating, I want to be off to travel nursing.
Okay, so what is that?
Travel nursing is basically where you pick up different contracts in different states. It could
Oh,
be, far, or it could be local. And
okay.
basically you're making way more money than if you were a staff nurse, and you're getting different experiences from different places. So my thing is, I never want to be at a job where I get bored. Right. So going to different states and different hospitals, I get to experience different things while, of course, making a little bit more money. So
Okay.
yeah.
I never heard travel. Okay. All right, great.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
how can my viewers follow you and support you?
You could follow me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram at future.er.nurse. And also my business page is Oshun, OSHUN _boutique. So that's my personal page. I'm I do Facebook, but not really. And my Facebook is my full name, Javay Engelking-Scott, but definitely Instagram is my place to be.
Okay, I'll make sure I get your information and put it down below the interview.
Yes.
So, if you can leave some encouraging words for my young women, um, or young men that may be struggling out here, that's,
Yeah.
struggling to see where they fit, what they need to do, how they can get out of it, if they will ever get out of it. Sometimes our problems look like, oh man, I am not gonna get out of this, but in the next
And
day, it's, hey, I went through it and I'm good.
yes. Um, my thing is I'm the biggest advocate for therapy. Okay. I'm a biggest advocate for therapy because your mental health is so important. And you cannot, like you said, you cannot do this alone. Like you cannot sit in your room and think that, oh, I'm gonna just talk to myself and this is gonna be over, or sleep it away, or whatever you do, right? So definitely seek therapy soon as possible. Even if you don't think something wrong, that's my biggest thing, is to seek therapy. Another thing is get into the roots of your problems. Get into the roots of your problems. Your situation doesn't have to be as bad as mine, or it could be worse as mine, or just get into the roots of your traumas and really trying to get into your inner child traumas, right? Why you act the way you do, or if you have any vices, why are you addicted to those vices? And that right there will help you come out refreshed and a new person in order to become to come into your purpose.
Awesome, great. So we forgot to mention your mom has been clean for 16 years.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we want to,
Yes.
yes, mom her
Yes.
flowers. She has been
Yes.
clean for 16 years, which have allowed
Yes.
you to have an awesome and a great relationship,
Yes.
with your mom. Because I know
Yes.
as mother and daughter relationships is hard. I have
Yes.
two daughters. Love them dearly. They love me. I know that. But we're women. It kind of, as
Yes.
you grow up, it changes as you
Mm-hmm.
guys get older. And as parents and as moms, we have to, you know,
Yep. Yep.
back
And
a
that.
little bit. And sometimes
Yep.
it's hard to, but to see you on here and having a forgiving heart,
Yes. Yes.
and for having grace to
Yes.
know that my mom was sick.
Sick. Yep.
She was sick.
Yep. Yep.
And for her, and for you to grant that grace
Yes.
and to have a relationship with your mom, I would say kudos to you. And, and,
Thank you.
and that is great. I'm pretty sure your mom is very honored and touched,
Yes. Yes, she is.
because a lot of relationships don't end up in a good
Yep.
space,
Yep.
but it seemed
Yep.
like you have forgiven her and
Yep.
allowed her grace to know that she was sick.
Yeah,
That was
and that's definitely true. And I just look back every day, like, because my mom calls me every day, right? I like to think it's for me, but it's to talk to her grandchild.
Mhm.
So but yeah, like I just think back, it's like, dang, this is the things that I wish for.
Yeah.
And that's why I say hard times don't last always. Because I remember looking out the window when I was 10 years old, like, man, I wish I could see my mom again,
Yeah.
and now I could just pick up the phone and call her,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So that's good. I think,
yeah.
oh, that's great. Great happy ending. But I thank you, for reaching out. I thank you for sharing your story. We got to make sure we stay in contact, with
Yes.
one another. I would love to have you back. Get that certificate. I would love to celebrate you,
Yes.
graduating. I love that. I love that because there's no excuses why people can't make it. It's a
No.
mindset, like you said. Your past does not determine your future. You
Exactly.
determine your
Yeah.
future. You
Yeah.
change. You change your, what is it called?
Outlook.
Your outlook and your circumstances.
Yeah.
You have that power.
Yeah.
Someone else doesn't have it, but you have it. So I
Yes.
think I think your story will heal others, and I just pray that you keep telling it. Keep,
That's it.
keep telling your story, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of people out here that it will heal and and reach.
Yeah. I believe it. I appreciate you for the opportunity, and I will be back.
Yes. But we had a couple of comments. Um, we have on here. This is my boss. Hey, Tanika. He said, "Congratulations."
Thank you.
There go Miss Cookie, Talfair Graves. She always watch my platform. A great friend. This is one of my tribe.
Yes.
This woman right here is one of my tribe who keeps me grounded, keeps me
Yes.
healthy because she walks me to death, exercises me to death, and everything else. And she always watching. And she also said, "Praise God for your mom healing at 16
Yes.
years."
Thank you.
And then we had Zeke Cloud on, whoever you are. Thank you for watching as well.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you for the love.
yes. So for those that didn't comment, but you watched, and whoever's gonna catch it on the replay, thank you for always supporting YBC. Just make sure you follow Javay and just keep in
Yes.
contact. Follow her story. Share her
Yes.
story if you know of anyone that is stuck and don't think they can get through. Here's a testimony that can show you that your past does not represent your present. That whatever
Mm,
you put your mind to, you can get through it and go through it. And just make
yeah.
sure you believe in that higher power to
That's
make
it.
sure that's it, that
That's it.
spiritual power to make sure it
Yes.
helps you get through. So, in saying that, have a great evening. Stay
Thank
dry
you.
out here in the
Bye
DMV area
bye.
and stay safe. And also have a great weekend. And see you hopefully next weekend.
Yes.
Stay
Have a
on.
good one.
Stay
Okay. Okay.